Contrastive analysis and error analysis. This video is designed for university students who are majoring in English linguistics. The contents of this video are as follows. This video mainly focuses on contrastive analysis CA and error analysis EA, which are early linguistic approaches to second language acquisition SLA. Before talking about the early approaches to SLA, I would like to mention what language is. What is language? What comes first when you hear the word language? What does language do? Most linguists say that the three words in parentheses are common characteristics of the languages. Let's take a look at each item one by one. Languages are systematic. All languages can have an infinite number of sentences, even if the language speaker does not memorize every sentence. It is possible because languages have its own principles or rules that combine words to form sentences. Languages are symbolic. In languages, sequences of sounds and letters possesses meaning, and this sound meaning mapping is different in each language. In other words, same sequences of sounds could have different meaning in different languages. Languages are social. Languages are used to communicate among the speakers. Also, each language reflects the social custom and way of thinking of people who speak the language. The three words I mentioned so far were common features of languages. Also, languages could be divided into different levels. Languages consist of the following items, and all of which are knowledge about the language that L1 and L2 learners should learn. Lexicon is the knowledge about vocabulary. Speakers have the knowledge about word meaning, pronunciation, and grammatical category. Phonology is the knowledge about sound system. Speakers have the knowledge about phonemes, syllable structure, and intonation. Morphology is the knowledge about word structure. Speakers have the knowledge about morphemes, inflections. Syntax is the knowledge about grammar. Speakers have the knowledge about word order, agreements, and sentence structure. Non-verbal structures are facial expressions and body gestures. Lastly, discourse is connected sentences which tell stories. Moving on to the early approaches to SLA, let's begin with the contrastive analysis CA. CA was established during the 1960s in the field of SLA, and it is early linguistic approach to SLA. CA highlights the influence of L1 on L2. CA compares the surface structure of learners L1 and L2 and tries to find the similarities and differences between two languages. Through this process of comparison between learners L1 and L2, CA predicts and explains the L2 learners' difficulties and problems. The reason why CA compares the structure of two languages is because the goal of CA is on the effective L2 teaching. Robert Lato is a pioneer scholar who presented CA. In his book, Linguists Across Cultures, he stated that we can predict and describe the patterns that will cause difficulty in learning and those that will not cause difficulty by comparing systematically the language and culture to be learned with the native language and culture of the student. CA also presented the concept of transfer in the second language learning process. There are two types of transfer, which are positive transfer and negative transfer. When L1 and L2 have a structural similarity, positive transfer of learners L1 to L2 occur. On the contrary, when L1 and L2 have a structural difference, Negative transfer of learners L1 to L2 occur, and it causes difficulties in learning process. CA was also criticized by other scholars because of the problem that it had. Some errors that CA did not predict occurred, and some errors that CA predict did not occur. Error analysis EA is the approach theory to the SLA that complements the problem of CA. Unlike CA, which predicts learner errors through comparison between two languages, EA identifies the causes of learner errors that have already occurred. Also, EA is the first SLA theory that focuses on learners' ability to construct language. Coder argued that error presents the language system of learners, and that error is not a thing to be avoided, but a learning process itself that is inevitable in the course of learning. Ellis presented the procedure of error analysis: collect the sample of learner language, identification of errors, description of errors, explanation of errors, evaluation of errors. In this video, we talked about the early approaches to SLA. I hope this video has been helpful to students majoring in English linguistics.